group of people. I mean, one who's familiar with the idea of orphan trains. Are you? I'm sure
Yeah,
you gentlemen have.
100%. Very dark. Very dark.
Right. So you study orphan trains and you look into the Industrial Revolution of America and you realize that 80% of the working population in the quote Industrial Revolution of America, 80% were under 16. Um, and that's on, it goes on and on beyond there. And you look at the amount of orphans that were being trafficked west of the Mississippi in the 1800s. It's unbelievable. Where are these children coming from? One of the first YouTube interviews I ever did was on baby farms, and this was like 5 years ago, before the subject was, pretty much blown up by a lot of other YouTube channels out there, where I showed newspaper articles. Again, this is my first time ever being interviewed by somebody, and I talk about how Europe was, the royalty of Europe had baby farms. This was publicly known and discussed, and the baby farms of some of these countries, St. Petersburg was the biggest one. They had 15,000 children, and this was public information they were sharing in newspapers. This person has 15,000 children in their baby farm. That was the terminology they were using in the 1800s, baby farm. So where are these people? Where are these parents? And from what I can come to the conclusion of is that a lot of these wars, whether it be the Civil War or World War One, or the Bolsheviks, these ancient cultures, again, like I was touching on, the people to come before Rome as we know it. The Irish. There's a lot of designations for them, but basically it was full slaughter, and their children were taken, sent to other countries, and given a new language and no culture. Right? You're far more likely to follow along with a narrative that makes no sense to you when you have, no grandparents, no parents. Yeah, you could tie this in too with, the expositions too, because, they had the I'm spacing the name, but they had these rooms that you could go visit where they had all these babies in these
the incubators, right?
Yeah, the incubator babies.
Yeah.
This is every single World's Fair. Incubator babies, where you could literally take home a baby. It was like shopping at the grocery store. Like,
yeah, dude, they had it at Atlantic City on the boardwalk. They had one of these things.
Right, and again, the most recent fantastic strengthening of this was Jerry Seinfeld came out and said that his father was an incubator baby.
What?
And that his father has no connection with any of his relatives, and that he was just taken by a family from an incubator at one of these places.
Oh dear.
So how is Seinfeld Jewish then?
Well, that's a whole nother thing. What is Jewish? Again, we talked a little bit about my radium work. I talk a lot about World War One and the motivations behind Germany and the foundation of the Nazi Party, and on and on and on. And when you take one historical narrative and you flip it on its head, and you realize that you can do that with just about all of them. And if you do your due diligence and look into things yourself, again, having this channel and reading and clipping as much as I have over the last decade or so, I've realized that just about everything in the modern educational system, from health to history, so you name it, the shape of the earth, astrology, it's all been completely flipped on its head. And it's kind of up to you to rediscover the truth. So yeah, again, the World's Fair
his
thing.
mother must have been Jewish, right?
I guess
Well,
no,
that's how
both
you
of
get
them
it.
were
It's from-
orphans.
it's from
Both
mother.
parents were orphans.
That's very weird then.
Yes, I guess both the parents were
I
orphans.
mean, I imagine he's had genetic testing probably, but maybe he was raised, Jewish in the Jewish tradition.
Well, so again, that's why I was touching on what is Jewish. Now, the term Jew is a relatively new term. Hebrew, there aren't Hebrew people. Hebrew is a language, and when you look at the roots of the Hebrew language, it connects to a priest class. This priest class had a designation by many names, but is found worldwide. The Brahmins, these king or priestly titles of Khan. I'm sure you probably heard that they were very popular in Tartary. Kings or leaders of Tartary were known as the Khans. Well, when you look at the actual root of Khan, you find it has an Irish roots, and it's found in India, it's found in China, it's found in Russia, it's found basically all over the globe. And this priest class, the Khans, Caan, also in Mesoamerica, relates again to this Hebrew language, Paleo Hebrew, Paleo Phoenician. Again, studying languages correlates all of this stuff too, and it keeps pointing back to the same common source. That the Jewish culture and nation is pointing more to being a modern creation, and that Palestine and the quote Holy Land we know of as today is a complete fabrication. Yeah, I mean, we could go into a million things. 90
I'm
minutes
like,
isn't
I'm
enough, but
listening. I'll listen to that for sure.
yeah, you find that their languages have a lot of similarities. And that's again going to what we were talking about, how Rome didn't fall, it rebranded itself as a religion and basically rewrote the history of everything we know of today. And then again, my kind of goal or vision for my channel or what I'm doing in my own life really is just to dig up the old bones and reconstruct what I believe is a more clear picture of history.